Hi, I'm Charlie. I'm a member of the Red Cross steering group here at Alicante, and this is Katie. She's also a member. Thank you for coming in today for us to interview you. What was your job within the war?
Well, we weren't involved in I wasn't involved in the war. I was in the RAF, and my job was an RAF policeman, which was for security of personnel and installations. In other words, making sure that the officers and everybody was safe, VIPs visitors were safe, and that nobody was coming in and blowing the aircraft up.
How long did you serve?
I served 22 years. That's from 1966 to 1988, which covered conflicts in Aden and the Falklands and Cyprus, but I didn't go to any of them because of my job, and I covered the Cold War.
How do you feel about what you've done? Are you happy with the time you served?
Serving during the Cold War, which was when Russia was trying to expand, and I believe that because we had a nuclear weapon and nuclear weapons, that the Russians didn't do what they wanted to do, and I was part of guarding those weapons and making sure they were ready at any time.
What was the best kind of moment you had?
The best time in service? Plenty of sport, and I travelled around the world several times.
What was the worst moment you had?
The worst moment? The worst moment was when I had to attend an accident, a road accident in Germany, when 21 people that I knew were burned to death in a coach crash, and I had to photograph and be part of identifying everyone.
Was there any times you just felt like you wanted to give up?
No.
So I take it that your worst moment's the worst thing you saw within your time in serving.
Sorry?
It was the worst thing you've seen within your time in serving.
That was one of the worst things. I had to deal with sudden deaths, and there were several accidents and suicides and tragedies that I had to deal with people that had been killed, and I had to be present while the post-mortem was carried out. And none of it was very pleasant.
What was your job?
My job, I was in the army as a military policeman, slightly different to John. John was in the RAF as an RAF policeman. I specialised in close protection and surveillance. Thankfully, after the first 2 years as a policeman, then I moved into a different field, so it was quite nice.
How long have you served?
8 years.
Whereabouts have you served?
Like John, I was lucky enough to see plenty of the world. I've served out in Kuwait, Northern Ireland, Germany, Beirut, and such places.
How do you feel about having served?
Yeah, it's great. It's I think the expression "you go in a boy and come out a man" for sure definitely applies.
What was your best moment?
I think we're all a pretty sports orientated family, so I think the sports side was good because it's downtime from your job, so it means you can relax.
And the worst moment you've had, or the worst thing you've seen?
Is losing people you know very well.
Sorry, I don't know.
Michelle.
What was your job?
My job was admin based, so I supplied support to troops, sort of basically admin based.
How long have you?
I served for 23 and a half years. I joined the army in 1983 and left in January 2007.
And whereabouts have you served?
I've served obviously in England. Did 2 tours of Iraq, one in 2003 during the conflict, and then again I found myself there in 2005. First time I went for 4.5 months, second time I went for 6 months.
How do you feel about having served for 23 years?
I loved it, absolutely loved it. We're very much a military family. Obviously my father was in the forces. My brother did 22 years as well, so very much a military family, but it was amazing.
Did you also play a lot of sport?
Played a lot of sport, yeah. That wasn't my best moment though.
What was your best moment?
My best moment was being promoted to Warrant Officer Class 1, which is the pinnacle of our career. It's the highest we could go. And I was promoted after 20 years service to Warrant Officer Class 1. So that was
And what was the worst kind of moment you had?
My worst moment, I would say, was deploying to Iraq in 2003, leaving our daughter behind at the age of 5. So that wasn't very nice for me, deploying as a mother. So.
Are you happy that you did the time you did?
Yeah, I loved it, and one of the reasons I came out was purely because of our daughter. She was, I think, 9 when I decided to come out, but you know, for her 9 years I'd been away a lot, and Martin works away as well, so it was sort of finding that compromise, so I decided to retire. So.
Can I just ask also what all your badges and medals mean?
Shall we do different, because Dad's is different to mine, so...
These are badges.
Yeah,
They're
medals.
badges.
No, the medals.
The medals.
This medal is the only medal that's mine. That's my long service and good conduct medal, which I got for a minimum of 15 years good conduct in the Air Force. These are my father's medals, and you're entitled to wear your parents' medals when they're dead, but you wear them on this side. So that's the 1939-1945 star, which shows that he was on active service all the way during the war. That's the France and Germany star, which means he went through France and Germany during the war. That's the defence medal, that's the defence of the realm. He defended this country during the war. And that's the 1939-45 war medal, which shows that he was in the army right the way through the war.
I'll go through mine. Mine again, this one is my long service and good conduct medal, and in the army we actually say it's actually undetected crime. And again, 15 years of good behaviour in one of these. Queen's Jubilee Medal, which anybody serving in the armed forces in 2002 was awarded one of these to celebrate 50 years of the Queen's reign. This one is my Iraq medal, and if you can see, I've actually got a bar on mine which shows that I was there during the conflict in 2003. This one's my favourite one, and this was my MBE, which I was awarded in 2007. Martin, myself and Chelsea went to Buckingham Palace in November 2007 and was presented by Prince Charles, my MBE. So I actually have MBE after my name now. So. But to me, that's not just, I was recommended by my brigadier, but it's not just for, you know, the things that I did. I had a lot of support from my husband and my parents, so it's just gratitude for them as well. So but it's my favourite one. Thank you.
I take it that you all enjoyed your time in the war, but do you miss it in any way?
I think you miss people more than the job that you have to do, because if you look at the current climate today, you know, it is grim, but you miss people a lot. You make a lot of friends in the armed forces, and you know, we had another gentleman here this morning who's actually unfortunately had to go, who's still serving, and you know, we're lucky that we still keep in contact and we can call on people like that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. You know, you make many friends, or you make plenty of acquaintances, but not many you keep as friends. You know, the best way I put it is my best man is a Geordie. He lives in Newcastle, so I get to see him maybe once or twice a year, but he will still be my best friend.
And I miss it terribly.
Yeah.
There's never a day when I think of what it was like. And it's difficult to relate to people who have not been in the services, because this is my daughter, this is my son-in-law, we're a family. But Tim came today as the first time I've ever seen him, and yet we were like brothers. We are part of the same family, and that's the way the service works. And when you leave it, you miss it.
Is this the job that you wanted to do ever since you were like our kind of age at school, or is it something that just kind of came up?
We were asked this question a lot this morning, and you know, we all had similar reasons for joining the army, and we either had a boyfriend somewhere and we didn't want to do this, and Martin wanted to leave home because his brother's girlfriend had moved into the family home. So it's not something that we'd focused on at school and thought, you know, definitely want to join the army. Dad's was because he'd been made redundant and there was nothing there, so you know, he joined the Air Force. So,
thank you for coming today.
that's our pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's been really good to talk to you and understand more about your jobs.
Well, hopefully the children that we've spoken to this morning as well, that have really taken something from, well, that's what we hope anyway, that they've actually taken something from what we've talked to them about today.
We also